All right, thanks everyone for joining the July edition of Winshuttle WEBtips. Just a couple of items to start out at the beginning here. Everyone is on mute, so we can have a good experience with listening and viewing the webinar. And if you have any questions, I don't think that we're going to have any polls this time, but if you have any questions, please type the questions into the GoToWebinar section, and periodically we will be reviewing that question and answer section, and we'll get to your questions as best as we can. So, all right, without further ado, let's get started. So, Winshuttle WEBtips is brought to you by Clear Process Solutions, and we want to provide a little bit of information about who we are for those that are new to the WEBtips. Winshuttle is a big part of what we do, but we have many other options for helping automate your business processes, whether it's lean data management with SAP. That's where Winshuttle fits in, as well as the workflow space for SAP, and even workflow outside of SAP using Winshuttle Foundation. We have tools for lean imaging that can capture documents and read in documents and feed into your system and kick off Winshuttle forms or workflows as well. And we have other offerings for lean infrastructure to minimize the amount of downtime you have from replicating servers and testing servers and updates and patches and all of that. And also our dashboards that tie in directly to the Winshuttle platform to help give you better visualizations and drill down capabilities into the products that you own, who's using it, what kind of return on investment you're getting, and so on. Here's a quick look at the dashboards that we have if anyone else wants to participate. So the dashboard offering that we have looks directly into your Winshuttle environment. It's really a no-code approach. Doesn't use your standard data cubes and all of the normal BI, BW methods. Using ClickSense is a great tool. It's plug and play for your environment. So if you're interested in getting dashboards for Process BI right for your Winshuttle workflow, if you have it, give us a holler and we can set up a demo for you to do that. So looking at WEBtips, WEBtips is part of our Solution Care offering, and Solution Care sets us apart from Winshuttle and other folks in the market in many different ways. So when you're paying your Winshuttle maintenance, you're getting three little items here. The production issues, they help you with production issues, they help you with install and upgrade planning, and they give you product updates. That's about it. As far as best practice,
we will try. Okay, it seems like we were having some technical difficulties with hearing me there, so I'm not sure how far we got in to that. Let's see if we're back now. Okay, is anyone able to hear me out there? All right, looks like we're good to go. All right, so Solution Care again is our way of staying, WEBtips is our way of staying in contact with our customers and folks that aren't our customers as a way of promoting best practices and tips and tricks within Winshuttle. So that's a little bit about Solution Care. Let's jump into what WEBtips is. So WEBtips is a quick, 15-30 minute session about tips and tricks on best practices with the Winshuttle tools. Every other month we do forms and workflow, and on the other months we do desktop tools. So this month we're going to be doing the desktop tools, and let's jump right in. So my name is Lance Yoder, and I'll be your presenter today. Most of you have talked with me before, but if you haven't, welcome to WEBtips. I've been using Winshuttle for a number of years, probably 7 or 8 years, and I've been using SAP just as long as a user. So prior to Clear Process Solutions, I worked in industry as a Winshuttle customer. So have some experience with the tool. And our first topic is going to be on transaction. So we have 3 little demos we're going to do on transaction this month. The first one is publishing multiple scripts to Excel in a central environment. The second being using the skip field indicator, and the third being using backup SAP data. So a couple of these items are standard features. The using skip field indicator and backup SAP data, those are standard features, but a lot of people don't even know they exist when I show them, or how to use them, even if they do see them. So I just want to touch base on some of those things. They're not difficult, but it's good information to know. All right, so the first topic is publishing multiple Excel scripts, or multiple scripts to Excel in a central environment. So many of you are familiar with the Excel add-in for using Winshuttle. So I'm going to bring over here on my screen. I have already a predefined script. This script is set to use material number to update description, the gross weight, and dimensions. But the problem is I have 3 individual scripts here. Just as an example, I have one script that updates the description. I have another script that updates gross weight, and another script that updates size and dimensions. And in my case, I have the script that's updating gross weight and size and dimensions. I have those linked together. So let's take a look at those scripts. So here are my 3 scripts, individual to update description, gross weight, and dimensions. And if we take a look at the first script for updating gross weight, we will see that I have this one linked to the size and dimensions. So in this case, this is a very simple case of just updating one field with each of these, but you can imagine, maybe creating a material master, then linking to update, the quality inspection setup, or maybe you create a PIR, purchasing information record, and then you want to link to the source list so you can create the source list along with it. So don't be concerned about the simplicity of the scripts. The idea is to understand the issues we're running into when we want to use the Excel add-in with linked scripts. So in this case, I want to make an Excel file, have all of my scripts in them. So once you submit your script to Central, your Excel file will contain the script. So if I take a look at my data files right now, I'm going to look at the gross weight item here. And right now there are no transaction scripts in there. So I can see if there's transaction scripts in this Excel file or not by right-clicking and selecting Unhide to see if there's any hidden sheets. In this case, there are no hidden sheets, so the Unhide option isn't there. So if I flip back to the one that does have the Excel file embedded that I've already submitted to Central, so on, you can see that there are shuttle files in here, and obviously I have the plugin working as well. So if we get back to this one, I want to submit this with my script. So again, I have 2 scripts that are linked, gross weight, size, and dimensions, and I have a separate script that is updating description. However, if I want to submit this script, I'm going to go ahead and try to submit this script to Central. So I open up my gross weight, my gross weight script here, and it's linked to my update size and dimensions. I'm going to submit this. And normally you would have this option to publish multiple Excel files, where you could add in more individual scripts to your to be published to your Excel file as you submit it to Central. However, in this case, it's grayed out. Because I'm in a linked script situation, Winshuttle does not allow me to add in any other individual scripts to this. And likewise, if I go back and select my other description script, all right, and if I want to submit this one, now you can see publish multiple files is available because this is a standalone script. This is not linked to anything. So maybe I have some hope here. If I also want to embed those linked scripts in my Excel file, let me try it this way. All right, so now I select that. I have the option to add additional transaction scripts. I want to pick the gross weight one because it's the first stage in my linked scripts with size and dimensions with gross weight. So I'm going to select that. And I get this error. Selected file is a linked file. You are not allowed to select a linked file. So now I'm sort of stuck. In this case, I'd have to submit 2 different Excel files to get this to work, and the user would have to use 2 different templates. And really, we want them to use one, but we don't want to link them all together. So what we're about to do is go through the process and understand how we might be able to trick the system a little bit. All right, so what we would have to do is we would have to submit these two sets of scripts individually. So I would submit my update description script to Central. So I would just do the normal process for that. I'd pick the folder that I wanted to go to, July WEBtips. It already exists on the server under a different username, so I think we all understand how to submit. I've already submitted these sort of to get the demo going, but and just envision us submitting our scripts to Central. They get approved, but now I have two scripts and I have two Excel files now that I have to manage. So looking in Central, if I look at my data templates, I can see that I have my one Excel file for update description. That's the Excel file that came along with the update description script, the independent script. And the second Excel file says update description, gross weight, size, and dimensions. This is the script that came along with the link script when I submitted that. Even though it has all three names in there, it only contains the two scripts because I want this to be my Excel file that I eventually update to contain all three of my scripts. So that's why I have the Excel file named there. But you can see I have two different Excel files, and really I want the user to be able to use one. So let's take a look at the Excel file that I have downloaded that contains the scripts. Okay, so you can see here that I have just the two scripts, weight and dimensions, in this particular Excel file. So normally when you would open your Excel file that contains the Winshuttle scripts, you could see that you would only have the sheet 1 here. But what I want to do is I want to unhide. Now I can see this embedded shuttle files sheet, which contains really the exact script. So in here you have the transaction information regarding the script. So what's the name of the script? What some of the properties are. Since it's linked, it's a carry on sheet true. Yep. So when I'm linking it, where's the location stored? It's in Central. And then you see some other items here as well. Oops. Onto the right. So I expanded that one a little too far. But anyways, this is where your script is contained. Okay, and then the embedded transaction script, your transaction script is really in this section right here. So if I expand this, you can see this is the code, if you will, of the transaction script. So if I wanted to get more Winshuttle transaction scripts to be embedded in this single file, what I would need to do is also open my other Excel file. So let's open the description template that I downloaded. And you can see that I have just the update description script in here. So if I want to merge these two together, I copy the line, so I unhide my embedded shuttle files. I copy the script that I want, and I go back to the file that I want everything to be included in, and I could simply paste it in there. Okay, so now I have yet another script in here. It won't show up until I reset. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file. Okay, so now I have my link script as well as my update description script in here. So I'm going to close the Excel file here. I'm going to reopen it. This is the update description, size, and dimensions, just to make sure I remember which one it is. I'm going to reopen it now. Okay, so I see all my information there. I see my three scripts. I'm going to turn on the Winshuttle transaction plugin, and hopefully it'll accept my password. We'll try one more time, just to make sure. All right, so it looks like we're connecting the Central, and it's loading the plugin and reviewing the scripts that are in my Excel file. So let's take a look. And with any luck, hopefully we see 3 items here, and we do. So we have update descriptions, gross weight, and size and dimensions all in the same sheet. So even though we couldn't really submit them in the fashion that we want them to be, we couldn't submit them all to be published in one script. So we had to publish them separately, but then download the templates. So once you go to the data template, you could download these templates. as these are the ones that contain the transaction scripts. You can download them, and then you can merge them together by unhiding the embedded shuttle files sheet and copying and pasting the scripts that you want in there. All right, so if you wanted this Excel file then to be posted back to Central, you could then load this Excel file back up into this area. So I could check this document out. And so now it's checked out to me. I could make the updates, so I could merge those things together, and I could check this document back in. And now my data template contains all 3 scripts. So anytime someone wants to use the Excel file with all 3 scripts, they could come to your data templates folder and download that template, and it would contain all 3 scripts. So just to review, what we've done here is get around the issue with publishing multiple scripts. So you can do this not only with independent ones, so that was one linked and one that was not linked. You could do this with any. Okay, so if you have multiple linked scripts, maybe you have 2 material master scripts that are linked, and then you have the other situation that create the purchasing information record and a source list, you could merge those together as well. There's no limitation on just embedding an additional single script. You can merge in the multiple scripts as well. All right, so that's our first topic. Hopefully that was interesting to you for those that use the Excel Winshuttle plugin. We're going to take a quick peek here to see if there are any questions on the side. So if you have a question, just take a minute to type it in real quick. We'll wait about 30 seconds here to see if anything comes in. Okay, no, there are no questions in the queue, so we'll just move right along. And if you happen to come up with something in the meantime, please go ahead and ask, and we'll get back to the question board in a little bit. So let's see what the next items we're going to talk about. All right, using the skip field indicator. So let's open up transaction, and we will just take a look at some of these options over here on the side. So looking at the advanced options menu on the right, you'll see a number of options that you have. Now, many people, this little bar over here is often hard to see, and many people that I've worked with didn't even know that was there, even after a number of months or even a year of using the software, because you don't really see it over there. But in version 11 of the transaction tool, it's much more obvious how to use the advanced run options. But anyways, that's where these items are at. The skip field indicator is right here in the middle of the advanced run options. And if you select the skip field indicator and activate it, you get this default backslash. So let's really just step back a little bit and talk about what the skip field indicator does. Now, sometimes you might have a script. We'll just refer back to our Excel file here and envision that we have one script that updates all 3 of these fields. Why don't we just go ahead and create a script that does exactly that? So we will create a new script to update those 3 fields, and then we'll use the skip field indicator. So MMO2. Connect our SAP environment. Okay, we'll just pick this default recording mode. Will work just fine for us, I believe. And we'll quickly record ourselves updating 3 fields. All right, so we're going to change the description, and we want to change the gross weight, and we'll change the size and dimensions. And save. Looks like it's taking us time here to finish saving this and finish recording here. Okay, looks like the recording is done. Now we're waiting for Winshuttle to translate that into the script that we want to start mapping. So we'll wait here just a second for that to pop up. All right, maybe the demo gods are against me today, and I should have had this one lined up already. Okay, here we are. So let's go ahead and create our mapping. I'm going to just do a simple mapping, put log column in A, and use material description, weight, and dimensions. Now I like to put the log column in column A in my Excel-based recordings because I often have to go in and update scripts to add additional fields later. And as long as the log column is in column A, I don't have to worry about scooting everything else down. I can just add my other columns to the end and move on, and not have to worry about the log column being in the right place because it's always going to be in column A. All right, so let's go ahead and save this transaction script. We'll save it in July WEBtips, MMO2, skip field indicator. All right, and we will save this data template as well. Give it the same name. And we'll go ahead and try to run this. All right, so in this case, we have three fields that are involved in our script. We have the description, the gross weight, and the size and dimensions. But let's say for one case, all we want to do is really, in this case, we just want to update the description and the gross weight. So we don't really want to update the size and dimensions. So we'll just leave that one blank. Instead of having a separate script that just does material description or a separate script that just does the gross weight, we already have one that updates both of them. So maybe your users will use this one. So we'll go ahead and save this. Remember here, the intent is not to update size and dimensions, so we'll leave that blank. And we'll go ahead and run that. It looks like we got a little bug on that. Let's go back and select our data. Try that again. Okay, so it looks like it's running. Took 5 seconds to run our transaction. Let's see what happened. Oh, we got material changed. So it looks like everything worked. Well, let's take a look in SAP to see what really happened. Okay, so we got our updated description, we got our updated gross weight, but size and dimensions got cleared out. Even though we didn't intend for it to be cleared out, because we provided a blank value, Winshuttle is going to load that data in there. So let's go ahead and update our size and dimensions. We'll put our value back in there and hit save. But if we want to reuse the script and not update size and dimensions, this is where the skip field indicator comes in. So if I add the skip field indicator, it defaults to the backslash. Now you can go in there and edit it, make it a $sign or whatever you want. But what you're really looking for as a skip field indicator is some character, some single character that is generally not used as a data value. So a backslash is generally not used as an SAP value. So that's why the default is the backslash. And again, you can change it to a $sign or a caret or a left parenthesis or whatever you think is the appropriate value for your data set. But really, you're just looking for a character that you really don't use as an actual value in SAP. So in our case, we're going to use the skip field indicator of a backslash, the default option there. We'll go ahead and save our script. And let's take a look at our data file. So we realized when we left our data file blank, it still overwrote the size and dimensions. So we're going to put a backslash in here. I'm going to change it to casings 3 and 6, and then we'll go ahead and save, and we'll run this now. And make sure I'm out of my material. Looks good. All right, so it ran our one transaction. Let's take a look at the Excel file again. Yep, our material was changed, and now let's take a look in SAP to see what happened. All right, you'll see that our description got updated. So you have casings 3, gross weight was 6, our gross weight was 6. And since we provided the skip field indicator of a backslash, our size and dimensions did not get changed. So the skip field indicator allows you to provide that value, and what that means is to tell Winshuttle, it's like, I know that size and dimensions is part of our mapping, but when I provide the skip field indicator, just leave whatever values in SAP, just leave it alone. So that's what that did in our case. So we provided the skip field indicator. It still was part of our script. So Winshuttle was still trying to map in size and dimensions from our Excel file in here, but it saw the skip field indicator and said, oh, okay, in this case, I really don't want to update it. I'm just going to leave it be. So this provides some flexibility for you to have, a script that has many fields or several fields in it. And if you have a use case, like, you know what, we don't want to update this one field this particular time. Maybe there's 10 other fields you want to update, and this 11th one you don't. You already have a script that does all 11, but in this case, you don't want to update all of them. And you don't want to have to go back and find the existing value to put in here so it just updates with itself. You can use the skip field indicator to reuse the script to just run the script on those 10 fields, skipping the 11th one. So it saves you a little bit of time for having to redo a script to only have those 10 fields versus the 11. You can use the skip field indicator to skip that particular one. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Now, I don't necessarily recommend creating a script that updates every field and then you're using skip field indicators all over the place. There's definitely a good reason to have scripts that update individual fields, for example. You'll just be, I guess, exposing yourself to a lot of risk if you had a script that had every field possible in it and you're managing with skip field indicators, because the spreadsheet gets a little messy. And if the user accidentally forgets to put the skip field indicator in the one field amongst all the fields that are in there, that field is going to get updated to a blank. So individual scripts definitely have their place, but so does the skip field indicator from time to time. So I think that's a good feature that is handy for me anyways. I'm glad to share that with you. So let's take a look at the next trick that we have. First, let's take a look at the questions. I still don't see any questions coming in, so we'll move right along. The next item was using the backup SAP data. All right, so again, this is another advanced run option. So staying over in the advanced run options menu, again, it's over on the right. You can expand it and close it by hitting the blue bar. The backup SAP data is towards the bottom right here, another checkbox. Backup SAP data will help you sort of save the existing values in SAP before Winshuttle overwrites it. After you've used Winshuttle to update a field, just like we did for the description in the gross weight and the size and dimensions, I made a mistake on that first one. I left the size and dimensions blank, and I went in there and it cleared it out by accident. Now, fortunately, I only had one record, but if you imagine maybe 5,000 items in there and somebody made a mistake, you're sort of done. You have to go back and figure out what the existing value was, make another spreadsheet, look at the change logs, all that mess, because you made a mistake and updated a field incorrectly, and you didn't have the existing value prior. So the backup SAP data sort of saves you in that case. So let's take a look at what that does. So in my case, I'm going to turn on backup SAP data. I'm going to go back to my skip field indicator one. I'm going to take that out. So we're going to try to replicate that situation where I made a mistake of leaving it blank when I really didn't want to update that field at all. So I left it blank, and I thought that would be okay. So let's go ahead and run this file this time. We'll save it, and then we'll run it again. All right, so it failed probably because I'm in the material. So that's not very helpful. Yep, I already locked it in. So I'm going to change this to 4 and a 7, and we'll give this another go. Okay, so it ran our transaction. Let's take a look at the Excel file. Looks good. Material changed. Let's take a look in SAP. All right, and once again, I made the mistake and I cleared out the size and dimensions situation by accident. But you'll see down here at the bottom, I have created two extra sheets. We're going to delete this one because that was the one that was created when I had the record locked. But what you'll see is it creates this other sheet starting with BK, standing for backup, and then underscore the date and then the time. So this is 2016, July 21st, 11:32 a.m. and 20 seconds. So it creates this extra sheet, and you can see it has the material that I was updating and the original values before it updated. So it said casings 3 with a gross weight of 6 and my size and dimensions. So to compare that to my other sheet, it says casings 4, gross weight of 7, and my size and dimensions were updated incorrectly. So in order to restore that, I don't need to go back and try to hunt through change logs and everything else to find the right records in SAP. Winshuttle captures the existing data, and now I can just run this particular sheet against the script. So again, this is the column that I'm worried about is just this one. So thank goodness we put in the skip field indicator, so I can skip these fields and then only update the size and dimensions. So go ahead and save that. Update the sheet that I want to run to be the backup sheet, and I'll go ahead and give that a test. But I guess I'm already in there. Let's not make that mistake twice. All right, so now we're going to run against the backup sheet. So really what we're doing is we're restoring the original values. So Winshuttle captured the existing values before doing the update. Now we're running that again. All right, now let's take a look at our SAP material. And we can see the size and dimensions has been updated, and our description and our gross weight were left alone because we used the skip field indicator. Now, Winshuttle doesn't know that the sheet that I ran against was a backup sheet. All right, so again, anytime I have this checkbox checked over here, backup SAP data, anytime I run, Winshuttle is going to try to capture the existing data. So if we look at our Excel file, now we see yet another backup from 11:34 when I ran the script. So we updated against the backup. Now we get another backup of the backup. So now we have the original value being a blank, which it was because we made the mistake. So now it sort of matches, again, our initial one, casings 4, 7, and a blank. Casings 4, 7, and a blank, which makes sense. That's the values that were there before I restored the other values. So Winshuttle is just going to keep creating these backup sheets anytime you run it. Even if you run against the backup sheet, it's going to create another backup because it doesn't know any different. So those two items together, the skip field indicator and the backup data, you can see how those can even work together to save you because I didn't have to go back and update my Excel sheet here. If I didn't have the skip field indicators turned on, I would have to find the values that I wanted to update, paste them back in here, and then rerun the script. So I have to provide those values so they don't get updated when I really want to update this one only. So you can see how the skip field indicator and backup SAP data are very handy to help you, one, minimize scripts so you don't have to have a script for everything, for every single update. And the backup SAP data is really handy on update type scripts. All right, so it does cause Winshuttle scripts to run a little bit slower because it's copying data down and pasting it in the Excel file prior to making the update. So it does run a little bit slower, but in the end, it's not like you're running anything anyways. You hit go and then you go off and do other work. So it just takes a little bit longer for the scripts to run. But in the event, that rare case when you make an oops and you need to restore it, it definitely comes in handy. It can save you hours and hours of searching for change logs. So for change type scripts, I definitely recommend using the backup SAP data. It's not very useful on create type transactions. So if you're trying to create a material, the backup SAP data isn't going to do anything to help you because the material didn't exist before, or the the customer didn't exist before, so there's nothing to back up. But on a change type script, I definitely recommend the backup SAP data feature. All right, so those are the 3 topics we wanted to touch on today. Take one more look at the questions. Doesn't look like we have anything there. And that really wraps up our web tips for July. Come back again next month for August, where we'll be doing forms and workflow. I believe many of you that I see on the call here today are registered for our web tips. And if not, you can go to our website, clearprocesssolutions.com, look at events, and sign up for our web tips right there. So again, thanks for joining today. Our web tips are the 3rd Thursday of every month. So August would be, let's take a look at the dates. August would be on August 18th. So look forward to seeing you at that time. And thanks for joining, and have a great day.